I think he got the point. This is the classic line from James Bond. And the guy Vargas was sneaking up on him. He was on the beach. Most of you guys probably don't remember this. James Bond was an action hero.
He was in that movie that came out.
Yeah, I hear you. So he's on the beach with a good-looking girlfriend, and the bad guy's sneaking up behind him, and he's got the pneumatic spear gun laying next to him, right? So what does he do? He shoots the spear gun and shoots the guy and impales him onto the palm tree there. Well, he goes against all principles. You don't ever shoot a spear gun out of the water, but to make the point is, I think he got the point. But yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about safety now, okay? There you go. Thunderball was the movie, Thunderball, right? But you guys might have seen this one. This was just recent, Miami. Miami, this was a couple kids down on a lake, and it was a pneumatic spear gun. And we don't get all the details as to whose gun it was, but said he was trying to load it, and he accidentally shot his buddy in the head. The kid lived. Thank God. But it's a brain injury. So this was not long ago, 6 months ago, 8 months ago. Yeah. So again, know where your muzzle is at all times. Know where that point is. Okay. And I got one more. If you don't like bad things, close your eyes. Okay. All right. Ouch. It was funny when guys said, "Hey, you're writing a spearfishing book. Oh, let me show you this one." I don't know anything about the circumstances of this, but he was obviously behind. He was obviously in front of his buddy. Okay, and not a good thing. Not a good thing. So we are going to advocate when you spearfish side by side. Side by side. Yeah.
I stay behind him.
That's
why you couldn't find me.
Yeah. So, all right. So basically, the main thing here is check to make sure that your gun is good, your bands are good, all your lines and wishbones and all that. Make sure there's no apparent problems. Rinse it thoroughly with fresh water, and then whatever the manufacturer recommends. Typically, just fresh water in the trigger mechanism. That's the only really moving parts that you have on that. And the pneumatics are different. We'll talk a little bit about pneumatics. Spear guns are designed to basically function underwater only, not above the water. So never load or fire a spear gun out of the water. We load our spear guns as we go down. We jump in the water, unloaded. Okay. On the way down, we load. Okay. And we're pointing away from each other. And why am I loading my gun on the way down?
Because you might see a fish coming down.
I might see a big fish coming down, okay? It happens more times than not. On the way down, there's the big fish. And maybe they got lucky because they just put you right there, but I think it's the element of surprise. I think it really is. So on the way down, and we're back to back, my buddy's back to back with me, and we're loading, okay? So, and you're okay to have your gun loaded, just point it down, that's all, okay? Always go into and come out of the water with the spear gun unloaded. Matter of fact, there are some dive charters, if you come up with a loaded spear gun, they'll take that spear gun and throw it back in the water, okay? Because absolutely no loaded spear guns on the boat, okay? So, and then what we typically do is you hand the spear gun butt first to the dive master or your buddy or whatever, and just be careful at that point. You want to keep the point away from you. You don't want to hand it to them like this and get you impaled on it. So just sort of to the side, butt first. But that's typically butt first is how we do things. And then, like I say, load and unload your spear gun pointing away from other divers. And it's part of muzzle awareness. You should know where your muzzle is at all times. And I treat my spear gun like it's loaded at all times. I keep the gun down, even when we're going to show you. I'm not going to point guns. We're not going to do that. Point it down. My dad was a police officer, and I've been around guns all my life. So I always treated a gun like it was
Always loaded.
It was loaded, right. And then side by your buddy. This is probably one particular hunters, and I don't care whether we're hunting for lobster or I'm hunting for fish. I like to be side by side. And what I mean by that is, we're all heading south because that's where I'm going right now. For some reason, I want my buddy there. I don't want him behind me, particularly with a spear gun, do I? And I don't want to have to keep looking behind me. Where the hell is he? And if you stop to get something, that was Joel, I dealt with him last week or whatever, then I don't know you're back behind me, okay? I'm just going to keep on going. And then likewise, I don't really want you in front of me, especially if I have a spear gun. I don't want you in front of me because I don't want you scaring my fish, okay? And typically we try to catch a reef where I'm catching sort of an edge and there'll maybe be an inside edge and we'll work that edge together. And same thing, if you stop for a lobster, I know I see you do that. There's so many times I can tell you, I'm watching my buddy out of the corner of my eye and all of a sudden he goes into what's called the shooting position. What's the shooting position? His arm is outstretched, he's starting to pedal, right? And he's heading towards the fish, okay? I see that out of the corner of my eye. Well, what's he chasing? I start to go wherever he's going so that there's sometimes a likely that fish will come in my direction. So that's kind of the way we work it together. You're watching him. Hard to do 3 guys, even just regular good old diving, to be honest with you. But we've dove enough together that we know what each other are doing. And if you stop to get a lobster, I'm not really going to help you, okay? I'm going to look for lobster in my area, okay? That's the deal. I'll throw you a little bone on the lobster side there. So now, if you call me over, that means there's a bunch of lobster, and I got to help you. So I'll jump in and help out, okay? Or you shoot a big fish, I'll come over to help you to secure it. I'll come over to help grab the fish, okay? And sometimes if it's a real big fish, it's time to put another shaft in them.
Yeah.
Okay? Definitely. Big grouper, or right now cobia. We can't shoot grouper right now. Okay? Just to let you know, January, February, March, April, no grouper, none. Okay? So that's in the state of Florida. All right. But if you shoot a big cobia or whatever, put another shaft in them. Okay? All right. Questions? You guys are okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cover the spear tip with some type of protective device. It all comes with that red little doohickey or the black little doohickey. Yeah, my book. We got one of our buddies. I attribute this to Paul. He drinks a lot of Chardonnay, a lot of wine. So the corks are really, really good. So we take a cork, we drill about halfway, and we got an unlimited supply of corks because of Paul. And
We sell pure tip covers here too.
No, corks are for free. For free, okay? And an unlimited supply, and they float. They float. All right. So, and by the way, they do have a lot of these for sale. Okay? Had to throw that one in. All right. Now here's a contention. All right. Here's a contention. Keep the safety on until you're prepared to shoot. Only load the spear gun with the safety on position. What that means is loading it. A lot of times the shaft has to be, in order to get it into the trigger mechanism, it has to be in the firing position or fired position. But once you've locked it and then you engage the safety, then you load your gun, and I keep my finger on the trigger guard on the outside. Because only when I'm ready to shoot a fish do I put my finger in there after I've taken the safety off. Now, some folks don't. There are spear guns, particularly custom spear guns, that don't even have a safety. And when you talk to commercial guys, safety what? Okay? They don't believe in safeties. They get in the way. Do I have the safety on or off? Okay? But their business is to shoot a lot of fish. Okay? We're here to be recreational spear hunters and try not to kill each other. So my thinking is, and it's just a habit, I keep the safety engaged, And you'll see most of them are pretty simple. And they're pretty simple, just one finger to take the safety off when the safety's off. Then I put my finger only in the guard when I'm ready to shoot, okay? But again, that's my philosophy, and I gotta go with that. There'll be other people that'll teach differently, but for me, it's all about making sure we come home safe. And then, again, like I said, place the finger inside the trigger guard. Be certain of your target. Hunting in poor visibility or rough conditions add to the risk of uncertainty. We're lucky we have actually fairly decent visibility here. You know, there's some folks up north that do some spear hunting and or the west coast of Florida that can't see very much, and you know, make sure that you see what you're going to shoot. Once you fire, you can't take the shaft back. You own the results. And then if you hit a solid surface as a rock or whatever, you may have some problems there, particularly with the shaft. So be careful about what's behind the fish and what comes in the path of your shaft. Once you shoot, it's done, okay? And you know, we've learned this from diving together. If we have one guy going like there's a fish went in a hole, okay? One stays high, one goes in, all right? If I'm watching high, and my buddy's looking for the fish. I'm not, because I've made this mistake before. He's on one side, I'm on the other. I shoot, I miss the fish, come right out the other side, okay? So learn from my mistakes. It wasn't pretty. So now we're one above and one down in where you're the thick of it, okay? And then my other thing is, when you, like particularly with lobstering, I have my gun pointed away from me. And I try to make, you know, really special, I really kind of focus on that. If my lobster's over here, my gun is pointed away, and now I do my thing, okay? Those lobsters are gonna stay there, and a lot of times you look over your shoulder and there'll be a nice hogfish, or a big fat red, or grouper,
You get up the gun like this.
or something else that'll be just over there, and you go, hang on just a minute, I'll be right there, don't go away, boom, and then you come back to the lobster. So they're curious, they want a free meal too, and they'll think that, that you, for whatever reason, so I always point my gun away from my work area, particularly when I'm working with lobster, okay? Excitement and the thrill is why we spearfish. Just keep your control. Keep your control. If you see it, you're kind of getting a little excited, and all of a sudden, you know, things are happening. Think to yourself, all right, let's go on. And it does happen. I mean, you know, the fish are flying around, and you're slinging shafts around. You want to really remain under control as to what you're doing, okay? Because it does get pretty crazy sometimes. All right, and then store your spear gun in a secured or locked area, particularly if you have children. It's a weapon. It's a weapon, and treat it like one. Okay, so